This is the Hummer EV SUV. I'm not Doug DeMuro. I'm Sam Sheffer, and this is my review. There's a lot to talk about with this electrified Hummer. Autonomous driving, Crabwalk, the roof panels, so we're diving right in. This story starts a little over 4 years ago when I first got to see a Hummer EV SUV prototype up close. That was April 2021. Then in April 2022, GMC invited me to spend time with the pickup version of the Hummer EV. At the end of that video, I said, if there's an opportunity to spend time with the Hummer EV SUV in the future, please let me know. Here we are, it's June 2025. Hummer EVs are in the wild, and I got to road trip to Connecticut in one for a few days. Before we get started, I'll remind you that car reviews are super subjective. If you've seen my other reviews, you know that I'm a fan of all sorts of electric vehicles. The Hummer EV SUV is no exception. The Hummer EV SUV I got to review is the 2X. It's the dual motor configuration and costs just south of $100,000. It's got 570 horsepower and an estimated range of 300 miles, which seems to be more or less the standard for EVs these days. Our loaner was what GMC calls Tide Metallic and appears to be unavailable. I think it's a really nice shade of blue. The exterior of the Hummer EV looks and feels like a matured, grown-up version of the much boxier gas Hummers from back in the day. It looks refined, dare I say even a bit sophisticated. Still big, but with classy curves and character. It's a big vehicle. It's got 22-inch tires, huge mirrors, and there's Hummer branding sprinkled all over this thing. I like that the spare tire cover is branded. I really like the headlights. The front of this car is cool. I like the American flags that are embedded on both sides of the Hummer. I will say, I'm a bit surprised that the door handles are so plain. Very vanilla. I feel like they could have been a bit more rugged like the interior handles are, which are great. There are cameras and sensors all around the outside of the vehicle, giving you an array of views, accessible when you want them. These sensors are also used in conjunction with LiDAR mapped data on roads here in the US for GMC's Super Cruise technology, which enables hands-free driving. I press one button on the steering wheel and the car takes over. This is level 2 autonomous driving. So there's a sensor here that's watching where my eyes are. I have to pay attention to the road, obviously, but I don't need my hands on the steering wheel, nor do I need to have my foot on the accelerator or the brake. The Hummer will keep the lane. It will also slow down as traffic slows down and pick back up as traffic picks back up. And it's kind of hard to describe what it feels like or what it does when the car is driving for you. It immediately removes the fatigue of driving, because when you're driving, you have to be fully engaged. You're using your hands, you're using your eyes, your ears, all your foot. When you turn this on, you're kind of just like, okay, I can relax. Another autonomous feature we tried was self-parking. Colin and I tried this in a parking lot, and frankly, it wasn't great. In the dedicated UI, which I thought was pretty lackluster, you have to manually select the parking orientation you want to use. Why not give me a live camera feed and let me choose an open spot on the screen? Once the car finds a spot, the directions on the screen slightly change and a picture of an open spot comes up. Not very intuitive. You put the truck in reverse and then it takes over. One time it got really close and we canceled it because we didn't want to see what would happen. Another time we kind of got it to work. The Hummer did reverse into a spot, but was very much outside the lines. The whole thing was quite finicky and needs improvement. We never got exit park to work at all. I drove the Hummer roughly 200 miles in total. The trip was from Hoboken, New Jersey to New Haven, Connecticut. My girlfriend Nama came along because she coincidentally had a bachelorette party the same weekend as this review, also in Connecticut. On the way to dropping Nama off, we stopped for a bathroom break and took the roof off of the Hummer. I think that the removable roof panels are a really cool feature. Not unique to the Hummer necessarily, but unique to Hummers as EVs. It's one of the only pseudo-convertible electric vehicles you can buy in 2025. Because this was the first time that Colin and I did this, it took us about 10 minutes to figure it all out. Sick. And now, convertible electric SUV. Not bad. Then we did it again in roughly 2 minutes. It's not as quick as a hardtop automatic convertible, but it's cool because you can remove single panels at a time if you want. And no, the Hummer doesn't leak when it rains. It's pouring rain. And you might think to yourself, these roof panels that so easily come off, do they leak? And somehow the answer is no. In addition to the removable roof panels, the Hummer EV has a unique feature called Crabwalk. When you enable it, you get this splash screen on the display with this awesome sound. What Crabwalk does is point your front and rear tires in the same direction, letting you drive diagonally. It's a bizarre sensation to see and feel a car moving kind of sideways like this. Hard to say how practical something like this is in the real world. What did feel practical was the surprisingly tight turn radius of the electric Hummer. With four-wheel steering enabled, the back wheels turn slightly in the opposite direction of the front wheels, which makes for great handling of this truck, especially around corners and in parking lots. The interior of our 2X was spacious and clean. I love the different colored materials inside. The floor mats and other surfaces are moon printed, which I personally like and think is cool. The back seats are roomy and comfortable, and there's a lot of storage in the doors as well as in the center console up front. There's sadly a single plug located in the trunk of the Hummer, which can charge things like laptops and even a boosted board. There's a USB-C port in the front and the rear to charge your various gadgets, but I was hoping for more than just one power outlet in the whole vehicle. The cargo area is big. We easily fit our luggage back there. Here's what it looks like when two adults climb in there. There's storage in the frunk too, if the roof panels aren't in it. The rear access, as GMC calls it, and the hood both open and close automatically. The rear seats fold down with a button, but not back up. There's a single button to press that rolls down every window, including the rear window, a nice thing to have. The steering wheel can be adjusted with this D-pad. It goes up and down and in and out. The gear selector is nice and beefy, as is the mode dial that's pretty satisfying to twist. When you twist it, you get these insane animations that I don't think a single other car manufacturer has the gumption to ship. These are sick. There's 5 modes, each with a specific purpose, some of which lower and raise the vehicle. The Hummer EV SUV has a few height modes, and the truck has substantial clearance when all the way engaged. It looks crazy. What wasn't crazy was the key to the Hummer. Like the door handles, disappointingly plain. You'd think $100 grand would get you something cooler, but alas. There are 2 rows of physical controls for things like air conditioning and heated steering wheel. Cooled and heated seats are great. Some of the selectors go up and down, others don't. It can be a bit confusing, but I'm glad these are here. As you can see, there are 2 displays up front. The driver has their own digital dashboard and it's customizable. There's a few preset layouts to choose from with cool names, which I thought was a nice touch. The main display is big, bright, and sharp. Most of the interface keeps the Hummer theme going. Lots of cool modules and informational elements throughout. And yes, the Hummer has CarPlay, and the whole thing runs Android. The interface itself was worked on by a company called Perception, which also does interfaces for superhero movies. I do have to point out how slow it was at times. When going into the driving modes, it lagged super hard, frustrating to see. And then loading some of the vehicle information was also super slow. I don't know about you, but if I spent $100,000 on a truck that lagged like this, I'd be annoyed. I'd also imagine that they can push an over-the-air software update, which might fix some of this stuff. Another weird quirk is the inconsistency with how the power trunk and frunk buttons work on the keys and on the car itself. You might imagine they'd work the same, but they don't. For example, with the keys, you have to double press and hold to open the rear access, whereas the button on the Hummer itself is one press, no holding. Colin suggested it might be a safety thing, but it confused both of us. One surprising attention to detail I didn't anticipate, no, not this dope boot up screen, was the sounds the car makes on the outside. Listen to this. Those sounds are crazy. I didn't have enough time with the Hummer to get a good sense of what it's like to charge. We had people on site that took care of that for us. I didn't have range anxiety on either of the long drives, but my Hummer was in fact charged to full both times. Overall, I'm really glad I got some quality time with this beast of an EV. Granted, yes, it was a short experience, but it's really cool to see a legacy manufacturer like GMC revive and electrify such an iconic brand for the 2020s. I think the Hummer EV SUV is a really cool truck, if you're okay with spending $100,000 on a vehicle. It's certainly not for everyone, but the three of us had fun. The ride was smooth, the car did a lot of the driving, and being in a pseudo-convertible electric truck in the sun, to me, is a nice way to get around. So great to feel the wind in our hair while keeping the air clean in this anti-gas guzzler. Speaking of clean air, another EV in the GM family, the Cadillac Celestiq, is one of the sickest looking EVs I've ever seen. GM just let Jay Leno drive it for his channel. This $300,000 vehicle would be so much fun to review. Maybe someday. And as always, thanks for watching.